Your last story in the entry was December 2019. You report that the alliance between Nissan and Renault is starting to crack. Where are we with those two companies now in the aftermath of Carlos Ghosn?
I mean, it's unclear. So, we're on the Nissan side, we're on our second CEO. So Saikawa was also pushed out, and we have a new guy in charge. And the Renault CEO has been pushed out. We have a new guy in charge, and they're sort of starting over with people who had nothing to do with any of this Ghosn related stuff. And I think the hope is that they have a fresh start. But I don't know, like, sure, I think a lot of the sort of the bickering has stopped, but it's unclear because a lot of the stuff they're talking about doing today and projects that they're working on were started like 5 years ago, right? So it's not clear that things have gotten better. And at Nissan, it's not clear that their attitude towards Renault has gotten better. I don't know, Nick, you can probably speak to Renault more than I can, but I think the battle lines are drawn the same way that they were the day Carlos Ghosn was arrested, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah, for me, like, part of the difference is just that both companies are having so many issues right now that Nissan is focused on itself, trying to solve its issues. Renault is focused on itself, trying to solve its issues, and therefore we have less bickering because they're not working together quite as much. I mean, but I mean, for the alliance to go to the next step, I think, yeah, I don't know that they can manage it. I mean,
yeah.
What does this episode tell foreign executives who might be considering taking a job in Japanese management? One just did at Mitsubishi Chemical, I believe. There have been others over the last couple of years who've had their own problems, not on the level of Carlos Ghosn, but nevertheless problems. Is that still a no-go territory, do you think, for an international manager?
Well, I guess another legacy of Carlos Ghosn to remember is the fact that he opened up that job to foreigners, right? Carlos Ghosn was the first one to come over 20 years ago and run a Japanese company. The fact that he was able to succeed at all for as long as he did, I think encouraged people, and actually, frankly, more than encouraged outsiders, encouraged Japanese people that foreigners could run a Japanese company. So I don't think that Carlos Ghosn's demise or the fact that he was pushed out has discouraged most people from considering the job. It remains a rare thing because Japan, to anybody who's been here, you realize operates a little bit differently and thinks a little bit differently than most other places. I think more than that, though, what Carlos Ghosn's sort of arrest has highlighted is the resistance and the sort of the inertia surrounding what he wanted to do with these companies, right? So he ran a quintessentially French company and a quintessentially Japanese company, and his hope was to transform them over a 20-year period into a international sort of multinational, sort of corporation where it didn't matter if your origins were in Japan or it didn't matter if your origins were in France. He was going to rebuild his companies in his own image as a Brazilian-born man of Lebanese origin who was educated and came up in France, right? There's sort of this globalist, sort of idea of a corporation. And the resistance to that idea that persisted over 20 years was the impetus of his downfall. So I think that more than the sort of the fear of the Japanese justice system, it's what sort of person is going to want to come to Japan and run a Japanese company, right? Are you going to be just a caretaker for a storied company like Mitsubishi Chemical, where your job is to sort of just expand its business overseas, or or you're going to attract the ambitious sort like Carlos Ghosn, who sees a undervalued and sort of overlooked company and sort of polish it off and find the diamond underneath, right? And try to change it into something different. It's a question of ambition more than it is, sort of people taking opportunities.
Nick, any closing thoughts on the legacy of the downfall of Carlos Ghosn?
I'm not sure I do, actually. I mean, I think Sean described it pretty well just now. Talking about trying to build a company in his own image. I mean, I think that's essentially what he did. And Ghosn, he really believes that culture kind of matters, and he's, you can feel how strongly he, thinks about his Brazilian side, his French side, his Lebanese side. And I think, so just Sean, on the whole globalist thing, I think that is what he wanted to do. But also it took him 20 years to get these companies to a place where he thought about putting a holding company on top of them, because he was so respectful in the end of their various cultures. And he saw that, other car companies who maybe had been through mergers or takeovers or whatever, that had actually destroyed value. And so he was trying to do it in such a way that didn't just, that maybe didn't make sense straight away on a spreadsheet, but they kind of respected everybody's values and stuff like that. And it was just walking this tightrope between, building this kind of very modern company domiciled in the Netherlands, but yet still respecting the French and Japanese culture. It was just a very, very difficult exercise. And I don't know, I don't know that he could have succeeded. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sean,
it certainly blew up. Well, it blew up in his face at the moment he was going to try it, right? I mean, kind of like with the Alliance, he was going to try to do something that hadn't really worked before or nobody thought could work. And in this instance, it just kind of all blew up in his face the second he was ready to go through with it.
Right. Well, as you were noting, the resources of the Wall Street Journal and some of its great competitors provide a basis for this kind of cross-cultural reporting of business that this story absolutely exemplified. So congratulations again to both of you. I think the story isn't over. Whether Carlos Ghosn somehow has another chapter in his story to be written, we don't know. But Nissan and Renault and their competitors will continue to try to sort out some of these issues we've been discussing, and you guys will be reporting on them. So thanks again, and congratulations. I hope you've enjoyed this chat as much as I have.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.